Welcome, students. Let's begin with the remaining chapter of the spread of Christianity. On page number 11, we had last studied about the Emperor Constantine and how he became the first Roman emperor to believe in Christianity. Then we studied that he shifted the capital and Constantinople became the capital of Eastern Roman Empire. Okay, then let's begin with medieval Europe. The medieval period in Europe witnessed a number of events such as, you can mark these, the decline of ancient empire, the rise of feudalism, the rise of the church as the most important institution, the rise of Islam. They say you will read about Islam in lesson 3, the Crusades, and so on. So there were so many changes that the medieval Europe witnessed, and these are the changes which we are going to study about in detail. So you can just simply mark them. There are around 5 of them. If there's a question that says write few changes that the medieval period underwent, so you can write these 5 different points. Let's move on. The blue words feudalism and crusades is given in the new words. We will come to it later. Right now you can just underline it. Decline of the Roman Empire. Around 200 CE, the Roman Empire began to decline. Just circle the date 200 CE and underline Roman Empire began to decline. This date is very important. Around 200 CE, Roman Empire began to decline. That's where it began its decline. There were many causes for the decline of the empire. So, as we studied in earlier in class 6 also, there are many reasons for an empire to decline or a kingdom to decline. So, just as those, let's see, there are other reasons also. But then there are reasons why an empire declined. Number 1, such as corrupt rulers, underline it and put 1. Second, frequent outbreak of civil wars, underline it and put 2. Next it says infighting among soldiers and so on. So 3 main reasons are given here. Why did this Roman Empire begin to decline? Number 1 is corrupt rulers. Number 2, frequent outbreak of civil wars. People started fighting with each other frequently. Most often they used to do. Third is infighting among soldiers. Now, soldiers are supposed to fight with someone who's outside their territory, not amongst them. So, once they start doing that, who will secure that territory? Who will secure the empire? So, that was one reason why the Roman Empire began to decline. However, the chief cause for the decline was the attack by Germanic tribes such as the Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, and Franks. Underline these 4 words, very important. They say that these 3 are the reasons, but the main reason remained that there were attacks by Germanic tribes, and their name of these tribes are given: Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, and the Franks. These 4 names are very important. We will make a question later on. Well, let's just study right now. The Romans called them barbarians. Underline this. The Romans called them barbarians. They plundered the treasures, killed and enslaved many Romans, and destroyed many buildings. So there was a reason why Romans called them barbarians. The reason was they plundered the treasure. That means they took away what was not theirs, took away the treasures, killed and enslaved many Romans. So not just killed many, the rest of them they enslaved, made them slaves, and destroyed many buildings. So they were barbarians. Basically, they had no mercy at all. Very barbaric, if we see that these people who come to attack, they could just take the treasure and go away. No, they used to plunder the treasure, take it away from people, look for much things, kill them, the rest who has not been killed, take them away as slaves, and also destroy the building back there in Roman Empire. So that is why the Romans called them barbarians. So we can write down questions here. First is list few reasons that caused the decline of the Roman Empire. The answer would be these 3 points which are given: corrupt rulers, frequent outbreak of civil war, infighting among soldiers, and Germanic attacks. Okay. Second question you can write down: name the German tribes which attacked the Roman Empire. Name the Germanic tribes which attacked the Roman Empire. So there are 4 tribes given here: Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, and Franks. Next question you can write is: why did Romans called these tribes as barbarians? Why did Romans called these tribes as barbarians? The answer is given: because they plundered the treasures, killed and enslaved many Romans, and destroyed many buildings. Okay, moving on. The final blow came in 476 CE when a Visigoth chief called Odoacer made himself the king of Italy. Underline 476 CE. Underline Visigoth chief called Odoacer. Underline Odoacer also made himself the king of Italy. When did this finally came to an end? When at this point, 476, there's this barbaric tribe, a person, chief called Odoacer. He called himself the king of, made himself the king of Italy, and forced the last emperor of Rome to give up his crown. So forcefully he became the king, and he made the last Roman emperor to give up his crown. That is when exactly when all of it came to an end. Many historians consider this to be the end of Roman Empire. So that is officially, if we say, or in records, 476 BCE, 476 CE, Common Era, is the end of the Roman Empire. Many historians consider this as the end. So it's written and they figured out that this is the end, and after that no Roman emperor was found to be ruling. By around 500 CE, underline this date also, the barbarians had carved out their own independent kingdoms and settled down. So obviously these barbarians, these Germanic tribes, they looted, they plundered the treasures, took away, they killed the others, they enslaved Romans, and they had created their own independent kingdom with all those wealth that they had looted from others, and that they had slaves also. So they settled down in their own independent kingdoms. The largest barbarian kingdom was created by the Franks. Underline this line. So the barbarian kingdom, obviously if those tribes head were barbaric people, it would be a barbarian tribe. They had no mercy in killing people. So the largest barbarian kingdom was created by the Franks. Now let's move on, which says impact of the barbarian invasions. So there must be some impact. See children, if any atrocity, something like that happens, it comes up with some kind of an impact. For example, right now because of this coronavirus, we're all at home, and there is some impact everywhere in the world. Even if we say it is children at home, they are also impacted. People like us who are working from home, we are also impacted. There are doctors who are working for us, they are also impacted. So everywhere, even economy is impacted. So in a way, if we say that these barbaric invasions, how did it made an impact? They were not merciful people. They used to make the others slaves. They looted the treasure. So what happened? What was the impact of these people invading into Rome or medieval Europe? What happened at that time? The barbarian invasions left Rome a city of ruins. So these barbaric invaders came in, these tribes came in, and they looted the city, and they left Rome with nothing. City of ruins. Ruins means of tabahi ke baad. once it's ruined, तबाह हो जाना उसके बाद. The invasions weakened the authority of Roman rulers because they failed to challenge the invaders. Now, obviously, the Roman people were watching them, that the invaders are coming in, but the Roman authorities are unable to challenge them, or probably fight them. So that weakened the authority system of Roman empires. Trade declined due to violent political conditions. Now, political conditions means people saying that our rulers are not fit enough. So there was a dissatisfaction also. Someone else tried to overpower the existing ones. So political conditions were not very good. Probably the people went into, took violence in their hands. So trade. So nobody really wanted to come over. Businessmen did not want to come over from different countries to do business. If a political situation is not safe in any country, for example, if we talk about Indian businessmen, if they think that maybe in one foreign country the political conditions are not good, or there is violence going on, do you think they're going to go and do business there? No. Similarly, if the political conditions were not safe in Roman Empire, no trades were happening. The most important impact of these invasions was the rise and spread of feudalism, which lasted in various forms across Europe for hundreds of years. So, what happened because of that? Feudalism also came into being, and it lasted not just in different forms, in not just one form, in different forms across Europe for hundreds of years. So, children, what exactly is feudalism? Feudalism is defined as a economic, political, and social system, basically that lasted in the medieval European period. And in that, someone who's farming a piece of land for the Lord, and agreeing, he has agreed to serve under the Lord or the person who's the master in war, in exchange of getting to live on the land and receiving protection. So basically that was feudalism. So that happened. Then that that the most important impact of these invasion was the rise and spread of feudalism, and that happened in different forms and across Europe for hundreds of years. Moving on, they have showed on the next page the feudal society. There are different positions there, and do you see there is a pyramid kind of a thing where on top is the lord or the king, okay, and who serves for them is basically the peasants who are at the bottom level. So how it works is, can you look at the king saying, I own all the land in the country. So basically it is understood that king is the lord of all the land. Then comes the nobles. The noble, what he's saying, the king has given me large portions of land. In return, I have promised to fight for him and provide him with knights. So the nobles will say that the king has given me large portion and I must protect him with the help of my knights. Now what are knights saying? I fight for nobles and king, and in return I am given a piece of land for my military service. So that's why the knights are giving protection to the king. And who is in the end? In the last step is the serfs or the peasants. Okay, what are written about them? I work on the piece of land held by my lord. I am bound to the land. Now during this time, the one who's in the field, who's the one who's probably the peasant, or maybe in some matter it could be the slave also, he thinks that the lord is taking care of me, or the king is taking care of me, and I have to work for him in the land. So that is basically feudalism, why it emerged, okay, and how it emerged. Now let's study about feudalism. Rise of feudalism. After the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century CE, there were very few kings in Europe who could afford to maintain a standing army. So once the Roman people were ruined, only few kings in Europe could just manage to get a army. So the kings granted portions of land to nobles, and in return the nobles promised loyalty and protection. So the kings could not have their army of their own. So what did they say? Okay, we'll give you some land, in return you take care of our protection. raise an army of knights and fight for the king. So that is how they were lured into fighting and protecting them. The kings became the lords and the nobles became their vassals. Please underline these words. The kings became the lords and the nobles became the vassals. Now, the nobles gave land to knights. Knights are those people who are going to fight in the army, which we say the soldiers in a way. So the nobles gave land to knights in return for fighting battles. The nobles thus became the lords to the knights. Obviously, they are giving them land. The peasants farmed on the land of the knights and the nobles in return for protection against enemy attacks. So, eventually, who's working on the field? The peasant. And why is he working? Because he's thinking that the knights and noble are going to save them from from enemies of attack of enemies. The serfs occupied the lowest rung among the peasants. I'm sorry, I couldn't just read. The serfs occupied the lowest rank. It is basically the rank, the lowest on level, the lowest among the rank and among the peasants. Unlike the peasants, serfs were bonded labor and led miserable lives. As I told you, they were slaves also, and they were probably forced to work on these lands owned by the kings and nobles. So they occupied the lowest rank, and unlike peasants, the peasants are probably the laborers or farmers. These serfs were bonded labor. Underline this line. The serfs were bonded labor and they had miserable life. Just imagine slaves, they can't move on their own, they can't do things on their own, so they are bonded labor. This system of granting land on condition of service was called feudalism. You can underline this line. This system of granting land on condition of service was called feudalism. So please read this lesson once again. You will have few new words that you will come across as nobles and vassals and lords and knights. Read it once again, and I am going to end this audio today here, and we will take it up once in the next lesson from the Byzantine Empire. So give it a reading with the help of the book and go through the words, underline these lines once again, and we will begin the next part in the next audio. Thank you.